Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back. Let's go getting started.
To move away from it slightly, one criticism against the materialist reductionist sort of approach is to do with you're talking about consciousness and memory, and as far as what I've read, no one has been able to find a memory trace. We've got this default position where we like to think of our brains as a library, but no one can recall memory. Is there any? What's the sort of Hindu take on?
Beautiful. Let's explore this. Very good. You see,
Before memory, I've thought about this as he asked, and I think of it like I guess I was thinking of like a painting. So if you get a painting and then you paint blue, then you paint green, then you paint yellow, you paint black, paint red. Let's see how I'm trying to explain this. But basically, these particular patterns of painting brings up that memory. Clouds, grass, fire, birds, the black, yellow, the sun. Whenever these colors are triggered in this particular pattern, it brings up that memory. Like how I think I'm sure there's definitely got to be some brain scientists out there that can explain that very well, but this is my understanding without any knowledge at all. So don't believe me, but my belief is that how your synapses fire in a particular sequence is what memory is. So if it fires in this particular sequence, sometimes you get this memory and maybe a little bit of that one. You don't realize it because this sequence is so strong of a firing that it blocks out the other sequences that kind of relates to that. So if you look at it like I guess like this, all different sequences. If this sequence and this sequence and this sequence fires, even though this is one sequence: pen, pen, ring finger, pinky. That's one sequence. Next sequence: pen, pen, middle finger, ring finger. So if you get two pens in the middle and ring finger, even though the only thing difference between the first sequence and the second sequence is the middle finger and the pinky finger. So it has 3 out of the 4 sequences needed to bring up that memory. That's why you get that little vagueness. Sometimes again, I'm completely BSing here, but this is my theory. Don't believe me. Think about this for yourself. That's my belief. Is the fact that how those synapses fire in your brain brings up those memory, and how sometimes you have a little bit of extra sometimes, where you have a memory of something else, but it gets so, because this fires so strongly that that one missing kind of doesn't quite bring up that particular memory. I'm sure I'm completely wrong. I'm sure I'm just BSing here. If that's so, then so be it.
you see, this is a serious puzzle because they can't find a slice of the brain where you got all the storage facilities like a computer chip or something. There's nothing of the sort. They've tried. There's no
like
such
a hard drive,
thing that you can pull out. All the memory in my past life is here. Nothing of the sort. So where does it lie? See, again, we are now stepping on from the physical to the meta.
I'm going to rewind that. Did he say my past life is here?
There's nothing of the sort. They've tried. There's no such thing that you can pull out. All the memory in my past life is here.
Okay.
Nothing of the sort. So where does it lie? See, again, we are now stepping on from the physical to the metaphysical realm. People hate it, but I say, look, what else? Come on, show me a piece of brain's tissue that can hold your memory or what produces consciousness. Show me one. There's nothing. So we have to step into, look, why not? Hollow mathematics is stepping into metaphysics anyway. Mathematics is metaphysics. So step into the metaphysical world and say, look, just as this is, if you like, the old argument between the Platonic and the Aristotelian argument. That Plato said, really the world you see is not something that is really out there. It's your mind tells you what is out there. So it's your mind's reaction to the external reality that you call the world. This is a beautiful idea. And Hindus subscribe to that idea, not Aristotle in saying everything can be explained in material terms. This is a fight we have.
Idealism.
Idealism. So idealism is a very central feature. Same Hinduism. They say even though we feel that the physical body is necessary, the feature we possess as human beings or even as living things is the mind in which we reflect reality. So mind has got its own reality, and we say it's like a layer that underpins our physical frame, And it is here that memory is stored. It is here that we get all this kind of, cognition, how to recognize things. Because again, this is a very mystery, like another mysterious thing. When a child, wakes up, somehow, a child is born, his ability of cognition regarding nature of reality is very strong, very sharp, and it cannot come through just genes. So there still remains a mystery. The power of cognition of a young baby is a very mystery. So we are saying this particular mystery can be solved by recognizing that underpinning the physical frame is the mind. And the mind has got this ability to, because it already learned the lesson over many lifetimes. So it's very necessary. The important thing with the mind is this. This is what the Hindu take is very important. This idea is called Mahat in Sanskrit. Now they say the following. They say really, we may think we are using different minds. We are using the same mind, individualized. This is a very, very important feature of Hindu tradition. It says really the same mind, we are all in a way kind of capturing the same mind, using the same mind, and yet individualizing it. So I'm saying, oh, I'm J. Lakhani, and I'm very clever in physics, and I'm waving my arms, and you are saying, you are Robert, etc. So we individualize our minds, but the same mind. We say, how can you be sure, Mr. Lakhani? The answer is very simple. You see, we can communicate with each other. Suppose we are kind of floating in our own mental world, we will not be able to link up with each other. We can't even recognize what we are on about, because we're talking about different world. We can say, oh, this is a chair, this is a camera, this is a table. We all agree straight away. So we are using the same underpinning mind, if you like, this thing, and individualizing. I'm saying it from my eyes here, and you are saying it from there. Now, you see, the reason why this is important, it shows the interconnectedness of whole of this reality. This is why it's important. Bernard Russell was asked once, how can you be sure about objective reality, a physical reality in front of you? Objective, physical, not just made up of mind. It's not purely mental conjecture. How do you know there's a physical reality? What a beautiful question. And Russell, I like this guy. I love some of these thinkers are really clear thinkers. He said the only reason I can be sure of an external objective reality is because we all agree.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. No, well.
I've heard that. Again, it goes back to I can't remember. Again, weird stuff I was watching on YouTube when I was less than a decade ago. It's just really interesting, fascinating stuff. The way we tell if reality is real by objective, to say it as objective reality, when we can all agree upon the fact that this is a unicorn right here, and then not a pen. If you're seeing a pen, you're living on falsehood.
It's a commonality. And that's why I say there's a reality, because we all see. But rather than say there is this commonality is with the physical reality, I would turn it up on its head, saying, no, we're using the same mind. That's why we agree. Not because the same chair is there. We're using the same mind. That's why we recognize the same chair. So it's not that physical reality has got strength. Our mind, because it is intertwined, interconnected, same mind being used by different individuals, shows us the same reality.
And there's no point in trying to ask, where is that mind? Just don't bother.
No. And the other thing is metaphysical. I can't find location. Other thing that's very...
That's the problem, though. And that's my thing, too, again. I can't get past this materialistic realm. I mean, it's very... Again, like I said, the unicorn. If you don't believe it's here, you're crazy. I mean, how can I prove to you that it's here when it's obvious? It's right here. It's right there. It's hard to prove that, and it's kind of, again, and I guess this goes back to maybe the Abrahamic religions where they say God is there. It's like, well, where is he? He's in the mountains, in Mount Olympus. Okay, let's go to the mountains. Oh, he's not here. It's like, oh no, he's in the clouds. Okay, let's fly. I'm flying all over the place. Like, oh no, he's in space. Go out in space. Like, oh no, he's in a different dimension. Okay, let's go to the different dimension. No, he's in a plane that we cannot get to at all, and no matter what we do, no matter how long it takes, no matter whatever, we cannot ever get to it. So there's no way at all to know for sure. No matter how long, no matter if we had infinite lives or infinite time, there's just no way. No, not at all. That's where he's at. It's like you put it in a realm that cannot be reached, and then you expect people to believe it. That's not good, because then you can say anything in that matter. The unicorn. If you're not seeing a unicorn, there's something wrong with your monitor, or your phone, or something. Your eyes, maybe your brain. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of like that. It's very difficult to believe. It could be true. I don't know. Well, I can't say that honestly. It's if you put it outside of the material realm, it's just so difficult. It is really difficult to believe that. And I can't wait till he freaking blows everyone's mind and prove it to be true for somehow. A whole bunch of people's minds gonna be blowing up.
I mean, sorry, I've lost my track, but this is why it is so important to recognize that the mind that we use is not something that's just separate from my brain ticking away. Same mind we cannot tap into, that's right word, tap into to make sense of reality. And this is why we can explain something else that is bothering the physicist, and it's called the wave collapse problem. Or this is very central in physics, and quantum has not been answered. This is the question. They say, now, we are saying that unless, this is what Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg
probability wave collapses.
Yeah, wave collapse. So they say that in order for reality to come into being, the physical world, you require a conscious observer. First time the word conscious observer appeared in physics. This was Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, and Schrödinger. And the physical lobby were not prepared to accept it. They said, we don't want conscious, observer at all. How dare you?
Can't be idealistic, has to be materialistic.
Everything has to be matter. So there's no conscious, you don't require some separate feature, conscious observer for the world to come into being. And Stephen Hawking used to make fun. He said, do you mean to say that the moon doesn't come into existence unless a frog looks at it? That's the words he used. And we think, this is nonsense. In reality, it's not nonsense. The reason why he is thinking it's nonsense is this. He thinks consciousness is something that springs up in a living thing. First time, tick, 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 begins. There's no... Hindus say, no, consciousness is the very underpinning to reality. It just manifests through this particular brain or that brain. So it's not that something that comes out after the living kingdom. After the living kingdom comes visible, then the consciousness... He says it's already underpinning. Before even the creation begins, it's underpinning to reality. Brahman, same word, Brahman, nature of consciousness. So it's not that consciousness only becomes visible when the frog is there and jumping about, I'm conscious of moon. It's not there. It's already underpinning. Whether the frog looks at the moon or not. Consciousness is underpinning to reality. It's just that it becomes visible through individuals like me, you, etc. saying, okay, we observe. So this is, I'll turn it on its head. It's not that consciousness comes out of matter. It is the realm in which matter appears. See the difference?
Okay.
I need to look at some Richard Dawkins and Lakhani, or just some Richard Dawkins arguments. I don't know. I watched a few of them, honestly. It's mostly the things I was watching earlier were Richard Dawkins, scientists against mostly Western religion for the most part. I did end up watching one or two of his videos. I can't remember, a long time before I started reacting. And one of the ones that I watched on this channel was actually the one I watched before starting this channel up. And yeah, I called him, I don't remember if it's him, but I called him crazy. But the second time around, which I did to react to the video, was I understood what he said. I had to watch it twice to understand it. It wasn't, and I would say that it's not even me watching all of this that I understood it. It's just I don't know, maybe I guess I was actively blocking it or something. I'm not sure. I guess the second time I understood what he's talking about. I know what he meant. Because again, I guess it is because the word spirit is so known in the Western world for something very specific, and it was using the word spirit as something else different that just it's so locked to this one thing that you shouldn't use spirit for that word. Spirit was a bad word to use because even the passerby was saying that's not a spirit, because it's in Western world spirit is very, very defined as something. And Lakhani, I believe it was Lakhani in a way, that should have used a different word. Spirit was terrible. At least in the Western world it is.
Well, another attempt by material reductionists to explain memory is the latest one. There's different types of memory. There's recall memory and there's action memory, and they're talking now of this could link in with Hindu ideas as well about genetic memory, and I think it links into possibly just other things you said when say savants and know stuff and when they've had no prior knowledge. And they're thinking it's because the brain's configured in such a way, and it'll just has a natural action to do this. And another example in biology would be perhaps how a spider knows how to make a web. And how instinct goes from generation to generation, and how it can do something so complex and know how to do something. And they just say it's just genes, and it's just configured that way so it'll perform those actions.
And again, if you say, why do genes do this? How it won't evolve. Evolution is the name of the game,
That's what I know Sadhguru talks about this. Our genes does carry the memory. That's what Sadhguru said, and I do believe him. Honestly, I do. It's it's really amazing how we say that our genes are carrying memories from the past. It basically that's how it knows to construct this body. And what he's saying about savants, I believe, about how maybe it's the way their brain is wired. It's very interesting that maybe there's a gene that remembers how the previous life. Oh my gosh, we're going with the previous life. How the previous life was not previous life, but the father or the grandfather or the grandmother or mother that gets passed on to this child, and the gene just happens to wire the brain in a specific fashion that when these things are active, that when you fire this four things or three things, that you get the memory of the gene from your mother, grandmother, father, grandfather, or something. That'd be pretty weird. Maybe that's a way to explain past lives too. That's stepping way out out
And
there.
when Richard Dawkins was asked, "What's the aim of life?" He said, "Eat, drink, and copulate. Just make copies of it." That's the aim of life. This is the whole evolutionary biology. Name of the game is evolution, continue of genes to carry on. This is it. That's why you reproduce. That's crucial. Fair enough. But this idea of how do the spiders know, I'll tell you. Again, the Hindu tech is different. It says really, you may think the memory or these skills you possess has come through your genes. In fact, we say genes are very good, very powerful, but not good enough for this particular purpose. We say the following. We say the hardware that you possess now, this very complex being with a complex brain, has been chiseled. We agree with Darwin. It has been chiseled by natural selection. Because depending on the environment, those that survived carried on and become more and more complex. They survived because they were complex. So complexity started, we agree with Darwin, through tremendous chiseling, by natural selection, chopping out things that don't work. And that's why we become so complex with eyes and all this wonderful. We agree with Darwin. But we make one comment, which is very serious. We say, okay, you've got the hardware. It has been chiseled by natural selection. One other question, suppose you got a computer, a hardware, beautiful new computer, latest one, and you switch it on, it'll blink. You get a cursor blinking in the face, and what next? In order for this computer to switch on, to start operating, you require software, something to make it link up things and objects, events. We strongly suggest, this is a very central feature of our Indic tradition, we strongly say the thing that kind of, in a way, switches on this hardware is the software that comes through reincarnation, central feature of our tradition. We say, so when you say, well, how does the spider know? It's not the genes. It has been a spider in the many, it's picked it up. The skills have been picked up since it was a bacteria, amoeba, it has been picking up skills. And they carry on as the software that inhabits the new body, the new spider body. So as soon as it enters that body, it knows how to create a web because it's already been picked up. And the skills also are learned, but the software is something quite dramatically different from the genetic or physical material that we're kind of fixated on. So only when you kind of, in a way, marry the software with the hardware, we can explain this kind of wonderful thing about cognition, about how we continue to progress, how we continue, our memory in a way are carried forward because they come with the software. The mental mode that you possess has got all the, indelible, experiences which come with you in your new life, including your ability to make sense of the world.
Well, this software, does it pass from generation to generation?
Yes.
It's not about picking up, it's not about learning.
It is learning at the same time.
Right.
It is in a way getting kind of like just as you get software with Microsoft, you get the latest edition and you get the new version, and it is done through learning process. So we say, this is another interesting thing to observe. So there's a young person who's not very knowledgeable, but not very clever. As he gets older, gets very, very clever. The genes remain the same. So where is this variation? Where is it recorded? Where is it kept? We say in the software. The software, of course, the physicists will say, the biologists will say, no, Mr. Lakhani, it's just the neural network that's kind of memorized. That's it. There's nothing more. No metaphysical. But I say, no. This is in a way captured in the metaphysical aspect of a being. And from one life to another life, we take this metaphysical aspect of a being to the next stage, and it becomes manifested again. So this is our take. And again, you see, Robert, it's very important. People who look in the Western world, all the Greek philosophers believed in reincarnation.
So I watched you the other day with the work of Ian Stevenson.
Even Stevenson has done a lot of research, but it's not a minor thing. People still think it's floaty and minor, and reincarnation, where does it go? And it's not a physical phenomenon. It's not physical. You can't capture a person going from one life to another. So what the heck is this? So it appears like it's still a woolly thing, but in reality, most of the Western thinkers, right until the time of the Christian kind of tradition kind of becoming more polarized, were subscribing to reincarnation. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Pythagoras, a whole lot of them. So it was very much visible in the Western world. But then with the Christian theory, they say, no, two-life scenario. This one next everlasting, so you behave well, no messing around. This is why it was put in as a carrot and stick argument. But it has produced a lot of hassle now. In fact, I asked the Cardinal, I said, one thing I want to ask you is this. This idea of promising an eternal heaven is creating hell on earth. People are blowing themselves up because they want to go there and become fanatic because infinitely skewed risk-reward ratio. What is the answer? I said, why do you allow a theology? In fact, I told at the Religious Education Council, I said, look, if I were to set up an office in the City of London saying I'm an investment bank, come, invest £5, I give you billion, trillion, I give you infinite reward. The Office of Fair Trading will come and close me down. How dare you offer infinitely skewed risk-reward ratio? It's not possible, not feasible. In the same way, I said, but every street corner they're offering that to their devotees, saying, okay, you're going to heaven or hell. So I said, this should be taken out of your syllabus because it's creating fanatic behavior in the name of religion. And I said, Mr. Lakhani, this is central theology of all the three Abrahamic traditions. You can attack it. I said, but this is how I feel. So reincarnation has a lot to offer, not only about this memory, about how we move from one life, but how living things move on, continue to evolve, the physical frame and the mental model that it possesses to make sense of the world and interact. These have to be, again, kind of brought into focus because it really resolves a lot of issues that we face in the world today. But this is how the spider knows how to create.
Is there like a memory inherent in the universe?
The whole thing. Not like individualized. Because in the individual has now gone through a particular experience, it's left an indelible mark on his psyche, and that becomes revealed in the next life. So it's been individual. It's not just generation from genes passing on. In fact, Ian Stevens' research is very dramatic. He says, when I see two lives linked, because the youngster is able to recall a past life very vividly, which can be checked out, even if you check out one life, that's good enough. Show me the reason. Wow, how? It's not statistical. He checks, not statistically possible. It's not a coincidence. Is it some fraud? No. Is it some genetic link, father-uncle link? No, zero. So there's something happening, but you don't want to recognize it because it says, oh, it's too floaty. But this is very important.
It doesn't fit in with
the physical
the
reality. Yeah.
But with reincarnation, we've got that. There's the proof there for people to look at. But they still, might find it difficult, to absorb at first. But certainly in biology, from one spider to another, if that's the path of memory, then that might be first step for people to sort of maybe get
start.
Because
the thing is, how does he know? I mean, if you say, okay, it's carried in the genes. You can say it. You can say anything you like about what the genes carry, because I can't check out that the genes has got the kind of special code for how to make webs. But look, this is one, you can try and fix everything to matter and genetic material, and fair enough. But I'm saying, okay, that is the way you approach it. I'm saying that software, something is metaphysical, comes from one life, from many previous lives, so it has learned these skills over many lifetimes.
And well, my belief in reincarnation is through your genes. But in terms of the software being passed, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the software is in your genes for sure, and that's being passed. I know. I'm pretty sure about that one. But that is interesting though about the spider. How does it know how to create a web? And I'm thinking, I think spiders, once the spiders are born, they're kind of just left on their own. They're not taught. Unlike mammals, I think all mammals, or most mammals, or humans at the very least, a baby doesn't know how to do anything for itself, even though it has the software. It's incapable of feeding itself. It's capable of feeding itself, but whether it feeds itself the right things or not, it's a different story. It does it the hard way. It grabs it, put it in its mouth, and say, "Nah, this nasty," or grabs it, put it in its mouth, it's like, "Okay, this is good." But that's just based on purely on taste and not whether it is in fact good. There's some things out there that actually taste really good, but it's very bad for you. I think it's like certain chemicals and stuff that taste very sweet, but it's very deadly. So, in terms of spiders or certain animals that are like, I think turtles, the mother lays the egg in an island close to the shore, and then the turtles, when they're born, they go out and they start heading straight for water. How do they know that? That's interesting. But again, you look at certain animals like at least humans, it's not quite the same. I don't know what other animals require, like, oh, like lions, I guess. You know, the cubs. They stay with the parents for so long, they watch and they teach them how to hunt, and then they have to fend for themselves afterwards. But yeah,
So, like you were saying, but things about the software and hardware, it's funny how the sort of computer metaphor is used, so much to, to explain everything.
Including Daniel Dennett, who's kind of destroying the idea of consciousness, saying it's nothing but a mismatch between the hardware and the software of your brain. Mr. Lakhani, we explain everything, go away. It's just a mismatch. Consciousness has no reality. You know what my question, too, I wish one of these days interact. My question was very simple. This is what he's saying. He says, there's a mismatch between the software that the brain possesses and the hardware that we already are kind of, we inherit. Because the mismatch, it creates a buzz, and that buzz we call consciousness. It's just the word is illusion.
Douglas Hoff said, I am a strange loop. I think I'm more than that.
So it's just illusion. My question is very blunt. I say, if consciousness is an illusion, everything we are conscious about surely is a double illusion. It's a super illusion. So why should we bother with material world, material physics, brain? Why should we bother? Because you say it's a realm of consciousness. The consciousness is an illusion. So everything we are conscious about, including our mathematical formalism, is illusion, super illusion. So why should we bother? So it's, in a way, I don't like this idea of calling consciousness illusion. I think that's the most important thing we possess, the heart of the reality, and yet we say illusion.
Well, we can't. It's probably because we can't understand it. It's the hardest thing. Mind can't be objective about mind, I suppose. So.
Not only that, you see, this is the problem. When scientists are faced with difficult issues in quantum or consciousness, whatever, these are the rules they use. I forget which physicist gave me this wonderful phrase. He said, either they will draw blank checks on the future, saying, we explain everything, Mr. Lakhani, just calm down. We'll sort this out in no time. Just give us. That's what Stephen Hawking used to do. He said, we'll sort almost everything out. This is called drawing blank checks on the future. It's still not a good idea. Still not, but they run away from answering. The second style they use is very simple. I like this. They create a jungle of jargon, like Daniel Dennett. If you look at this definition of consciousness, it'll give you a headache. Forget about quantum physics.
I've tried to read a bit of epigenesis from books, and it's just a fudge of words.
He just creates a jungle of jargon and throws it in your face. Boom! And you get knocked out. He's explaining consciousness. See, that's what he does. So create a jungle of jargon and let you get lost in it.
Do they create a jungle of maths as well?
Yes, he can do that. Maths is very dangerous. Just as you have this 11-dimension kind of space-time we are using to understand reality, according to me, this string theory is very much that. It is, in a way, going into a realm of non-reality. Really.
I was trying to think of it like a metaphor the other day, and I thought, well, it's like when you have overflowing champagne glasses, one and the other, and these are different levels of reality, and that's dimension 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And they all folded up. By the way, they all folded up, so you can't see that.
Exactly. That's right.
So, I mean, this purely mathematical kind of gymnastic you do. Fine, we've succeeded so far in quantum, we're doing mathematical gymnastics, so it's very powerful. But then it's kind of, you stretch it to this thing. In the way they avoid conscious observer in quantum physics, very interesting, is Evert. You must have come across. Evert theory of many world scenario.
Oh, many world, yes, that's right. Multiverse. That's right. It's been discredited now.
Of course, but the thing is, they actually don't see this is what they're saying. They're saying in order to explain this unique feature about quantum, that it can be in two places same time, etc. So you can have a dead cat or a live cat. You don't, unless you look at it, you don't know what is what. This, how to avoid this? That's very simple. If you observe the dead cat, you are in one particular universe. If you observe the live cat, you are in another universe. So universe has copied itself. So at every infinitesimal moment of time, with the electron jumping slightly differently, the whole creation, all the galaxies multiply. Now this, according to me, is called divergence with a vengeance.
No.
That's, I forget which video that was. It was done recently about the multiverse. Again, I explain in one universe everything's the same except I'm holding an apple, and in the other universe everything's the same except I'm holding a banana. And in the exact same universe, not only am I holding a banana, but I took one bite out of it and put it down. In the other universe, I, holding up banana, took 2 bites of it and put it down. Each of those are individual universes. Each of those are all the same except for the number of bites I had on the banana, or whether I was holding an apple, or an orange, or a pear, or bread, or a Coke can, or something else. Every single possible opportunity is there in existence. And the only difference is what was I holding in that hand. And this applies to every individual, whether they blink twice or once. Just now, it's its own entire universe. One universe for 1 blink, another universe for 2 blinks. I need to mute my phone. What the heck happened there? Sorry, let me mute this real quick.
Convergence, real divergence. They're prepared to go down that route rather than accept. You require something non-material for the material world to come into it. Basically, what science is screaming at them is saying, please accept the reality of a consciousness as an underpinning to reality. This is what is so crucial, and they are not prepared to embrace it. Very stodgy, materialistic approach.
That's the stodgy. I remember the stodgy word.
But I mean, it's fine. But I hope some scientists will go down that route and find a way to prove it. I guess everyone has a route they want to take, and you know, it kind of sucks that they don't explore all the possible routes. But then again, exploring one route alone or one route alone is probably, it takes more than a lifetime to fully discover that one route. One route alone is a lifetime, if not more, worth of discoveries and testing and stuff. So, you know, and plus, some people, I mean, depending on the fields that you're studying, it could be very well be underfunded because, you know, a lot of the scientists, a lot of the things that are being done in science is a way to make profit. Because, you know, imagine devoting so much money to this and you get nothing. You just lost a whole bunch of money. But if you can devote money to it and make money off of it, it's worth investing because you get your money back.
Rupert Sheldrake, to quote him again, it's a nice quote. He said, you know, we're fine with the idea that physics, our perception is based on physical laws, but we can't handle the fact that our physical laws are based on what we perceive our sense data. So it's essentially a model, and so the universe is a bit more mentalistic than people can cope with.
Absolutely. And you see, again, there was an approach, it's called logical positivism, you know, in Austria, I think it was set up. By the way, another thing I must say, there was a conference of theoretical physicists about 25 years ago in Europe where they said, now, do you agree with this Ebert idea of multiverse scenario? And I think only 70% said no. They think it's not on, it's just this world multiplying, it's just out of this world. Only 29% apparently said, yeah, okay. So it was fudgy anyway. But then you see, this idea is this. You see, this necessary requirement to step out of a material box is what the scientists are struggling with. Because the reason is very simple. It has given such durable results over 2,000 years. So it's difficult to spit it out. This is why they are struggling. And this is the ongoing story. But at some stage they will, like, I mean, when I read about photosynthesis, I said, wow, we got it now. We don't need any, we have sorted out. We have shown how life itself, you know, comes into being, into reality through this quantum phenomena, which is non-physical. And I said, wow, but they're still trying to explain it in terms of electron jumping. I said, okay, you lost it.
It's just the photon somehow knows where to go.
Yeah, not only it knows instantaneously. So how are things connected so instantaneously? It's only through the idea of Brahman, or the idea of a same mind that we're using that shows a linkage. This entanglement is already there.
I see the entanglement. Brahman would explain that, or an implicate order, as David Bohm calls it. Okay, that's lovely. We've got just two more things.
I think we've covered everything.
I think so. Well, no, we've done everything. We're really comprehensive.
Will be spat out by scientific law.
I'm sure it won't be. Actually, I think because I've noticed a softening.
It is happening.
About 10 or 15 years ago, I watched. This is where I got the idea for collective intelligence, or a David Attenborough program with all these amazing things. I thought, well, there's something going on here. And then he said at the end of the program, there's nothing going on. It's an illusion. and then 10 years later, they had a swarm. There's a series called Swarm, and they showed an ant colony and all this differentiation of labour and decisions being made and all this. And there's a collective mind just shouting at you. Sometimes you can explain it away through avoiding a predator, not bumping into each other. There's a pattern going on, an algorithm. But you exhaust those, and sometimes it's shouting at you. And they said this on BBC. I was like, hello, and I went back to this producer chap, and they said the links between the ants are making a collective mind. And I thought, well, okay, that's not well done, BBC, but I haven't heard that. I haven't read that anywhere. It hasn't been front page anywhere.
No.
Interesting.
See, this is very important because a lot of things we do. For example, it is really true. I mean, in my case, I know when my brother was about to die. Really, he had meningitis, about to die, and I was in London studying. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, I felt very uncomfortable. And then in the morning, I found the news that he had just survived, almost died. So I told myself there is a deeper link between us whether we're using the same mind, whether we're using the same consciousness, but there's a deep link between the whole of this creation. And this is something that I know, and a lot of people say the same. It's not just, we just said it was just coincidence. No, you were shuddering. I was shuddering in the middle of the night, saying something is wrong. Didn't know what. And next day morning I found it. So this is real. It's not
so many people say that.
Yes,
so many
yes,
people
yes,
say that. And
yes.
when I've experienced certain bereavements, when I actually sort of love the person from a distance, I felt a warm
Yes.
feeling. And so many people say similar things. Just to finish then, just a general question.
We hope to get some tea from Mr. Shaw.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. No, because we've covered this. Be very comprehensive. Just on. I'm sorry. I should turn my phone off.
Oh, well, I
Do it
guess
now.
I'm not the only one in this one.
On the nature of collective intelligence and telepathy and examples, for example, just one example perhaps, these Japanese bees
Yes.
who kill the invading hornet by turning into a ball and baking it or suffocating it, and so you would have absolutely. Well, I'm wittering here a little bit, but when I first investigated the subject, I thought there would be books on collective intelligence. I just assumed that. And if you speak to some people, they say, well, of course there's telepathy. If you live with I lived with my wife for 30 years, blah blah blah. Other people are very uncomfortable with it, but but you're generally not uncomfortable with the idea of collective intelligence at all.
I'm very comfortable because it again shows a deeper link at the deeper level, not the physical level. Because in physics, this is the problem. You got this idea that can only transmit information at the speed of light, and that is a physicality. That means there's a physical way I can interact, or use a phone, but there's still electromagnetic way, wave going there. So there's kind of speed of light. Suddenly, what we are discovering with collective consciousness is the idea there's instantaneous link. That is dramatically non-physical. That is why it is creating, if you like, this tension that they will try and explain it away somehow. They're sending out certain signals and unconsciously or consciously. So they're still trying to write it off, push it aside, but it's very much showing. And again, look, this is why it's important to finish the session with this thing. The fact that we are intertwined, interconnected with other living things, other human beings, is a wonderful way to understand why we have to be ethical and moral, why society has to be more ordered. Because we are linked with each other. It's not that we are doing commerce with each other. That is, the golden rule of the Humanist Association. Oh, I don't step on your toes, you don't step on my toes, and that's how world is organized, the society organized. No, we say, this is what you are discovering with this collective intelligence. We are saying we are strongly linked at the deeper level, so we are stuck with each other. That's the right language. We are stuck. So when we help, don't even call it charity, you're just helping yourself. And you don't harm unnecessarily because you're harming yourself unnecessarily. So this kind of deeper vision, which says not learning to live with each other, that is the British Humanist Association, learning to live for each other, trying to see yourself reflect other human beings. Or living. This is a dramatic leap which comes out from this idea of collective intelligence, because there's a linkage at the deeper level, so you are strongly intertwined. So your wellness or goodness is also kind of reflected in others. So please make sure you live a life of that particular, like global warming. If we begin to subscribe to this idea, we are strongly intertwined. So it's not an issue of living in a competitive spirit, saying, oh, Russia will only produce so much greenhouse effect and China has to do this and fight about it. And if you learn to live with each other, it's not competition but cooperation. That's what this feature you're talking about in a way is reflecting. It's a beautiful thing to kind of end our program, because it's saying, look, you're facing global warming, a serious issue. People were just walking into a nightmare situation without recognizing what's happening to our next generation. Just walking into it, don't care, just use up all the energy and let the world kind of go to pieces. So again, this deeper vision regarding reality will give us a better handle of why we have to be in a spirit of cooperation with each other, because we are linked with each other.
So on the final note, so when it comes to collective intelligence and trying to understand all these self-organising systems, we're not too bothered if it's quantum leaps between minds, not too bothered if it's in a mental field. It's just understanding a deeper reality. It's more about philosophy than physical finding out.
Yes, plus it in a way, again, straight away, the moment you subscribe to this idea, you become a more rounded individual, whether it has got physical reality, whether it has got this quantum feature behind it, or conscious, whatever. You become a more rounded individual, and hopefully even that for itself is worthwhile.
It'd be nice to substantiate it physically, but it might be another materialist wild goose chase.
I think I think we are very close to, we are on the cusp now, because this modern physics and modern biology, etc., now are hitting a wall. They're still trying to hang on to this fixation. And we don't blame them, because it has been a very durable, very successful exercise over 2,000 years. We are embedded in it. Everything that we kind of have harnessed in nature has come through this particular approach. So we can't throw it out, but recognize that we have come. This process itself is now saying, no, look, there's a deeper reality. Embrace it.
It looks for truth, but it's not truth itself.
Yeah, that's what.
Lovely. Well, that's wonderful. Thanks you ever so much. That's fantastic.
Pleasure.
Mine as well.
Okay, so can't really say too much about the collective reality. The only thing I think about is whatever he said about the bees. Whenever a wasp came into the beehive, and then the bees surrounded it, and they vibrated to that where they cooked the wasp. I was just wondering if that's kind of similar to, say, like, when you live in a small town. That I'm not exactly sure about what they mean by collective intelligence or whatever that means, like ants and bees. Basically, even though the ants and bees have what people or science say is collective mind, where they kind of do their own thing in a sense that works with the collective, where the queen doesn't quite give out the orders as much, I don't think. But it seems like everyone knows what they need to do, and they collectively agree and do it. So I'm wondering if that's not a translation into the fact, like in a small village or town, whenever there's a problem, they don't wait till the president or whoever in a higher power does something. They can get together and do it themselves. They don't need the authorities to take care of the issues, but they can handle it within their own town or village. In a sense, that seems like a collective mind, but not in the larger scale, just more local. I don't know if that's the same thing or not, though. But again, those bees, it's not like everyone all of a sudden came out and tried to do it. You can only do so. I guess the bees that were there that saw the wasp, they surrounded it and killed it. I do remember seeing that in a video again on YouTube, where it was very interesting, where they just surrounded this wasp and they vibrated so much that they heated. And the reason why they did that is because the bees are so small and weak compared to the wasp. But collectively, if they grouped up together, even if they grouped up together, they could not pick it apart or something. So I guess they just got together and just started vibrating and cooked the wasp. Whew, it's terrible. Makes me wonder if any of the bees get harmed in that way too, or no. And that's amazing that they can vibrate so much. I wonder how hot it gets in there too, that it cooked the wasp. Anyways, that's the end of part 2 of Consciousness Q&A with Robert and J. Lakhani, Hindu Academy. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.